Everybody loves electric until it's time to talk range. Company websites show a nice big number, but in the real world, it's usually a different story. Today I'm putting the Bonnell 775 through 3 real-world range tests. On Bonnell's website, the bike is rated for 12 to 37 miles per charge, which is about 20 to 60 kilometers. Anytime you see a range that wide, it usually means that if you ride conservatively, you'll land closer to the higher number, and if you ride it hard, you'll be closer to the low end. Range is never one fixed number because motor power level, rider weight, aerodynamics, terrain, riding styles, and more all change the result. So instead of guessing, I want to see how it actually performs in real-world riding scenarios. I'll be doing 3 different tests today. The first one will be mostly relaxed cruising on back roads with the tiniest bit of off-road. The second test is wide open throttle on paved roads, a good mix of flat and rolling hills. And the third one is going to be hardcore trail riding where I rip it as hard as I can. Fully suited up, I'm 190 pounds and this bike is essentially stock, including the gearing. For the first test, I kept things pretty casual, mostly back roads and just a lot of riding around and exploring different neighborhoods. I did mess around on some railroad tracks for the hell of it. There were a couple trestle bridges that were honestly pretty sketchy to cross. Funny enough, a train actually rolled through about 5 minutes after I left. There was a little bit of light off-roading mixed in as well, but nothing crazy. No big hills. I probably spent max 20 minutes on the dirt. After that, it was back to cruising back roads. A good chunk of riders actually ride this way. People like to explore and cruise around. That's me a lot of the times. Going fast is fun, but sometimes just wandering around new places is way more relaxing and can even be more fulfilling. Nonetheless, here are the results of the ride. I covered 29 miles with 1,200 feet of elevation gain in 1 hour and 49 minutes. That works out to an average speed of 15.8 miles per hour. I knew I wasn't going to hit Bonnell's claimed 37-mile range, but getting close to 30 was honestly surprising when you compare it to the advertised numbers. Although it was a little bit chilly, the ride itself was actually enjoyable. We don't get many sunny mid-40 degree days in January, so this weather was welcome. The snow had melted away the day before too, which finally made this test possible. For the next test, we're taking everything we just did and turning it up all the way. For the second test, I headed to a state forest with long stretches of paved fire roads. This time I ran mode 3 with the settings turned all the way up. Half the sections were flat while the others had long, smooth climbs and descents. I don't really envision people riding the Bonnell this way unless they're commuting, but this test should be a solid reference if you're planning on powerline riding or covering long distances on dirt roads and access roads. Here are the results of this ride. Hitting only 14.5 miles was honestly underwhelming. I was hoping to at least get 20, especially since I didn't even break 1,000 feet of elevation gain. This was by far the most boring test and honestly one of the most boring rides I've ever done. I was moving fast, but the entire ride was basically just holding the thumb throttle waiting for the battery to drain out. On top of that, it was all wet out, so I had a ton of stuff spraying up into my face. Luckily, the next test is a lot more entertaining. Now this is what people came to see. For the third test, I took the Bonnell onto one of the more rowdy single tracks near me. I ran mode 3 with the settings turned all the way up. These trails are constantly up and down with plenty of rocks and roots mixed in. This is the type of riding every Bonnell owner should be doing. There's plenty of e-bikes out there that would get ahead in the first 2 tests, but this ride here is where the bike really shines. It's what it was built for, and honestly, there's nothing quite like it on the market right now. It absolutely feels phenomenal ripping this thing through the trails. It just eats everything up and performs its best when it's used how it was intended. Here are the results of this ride. Within 8.25 miles of riding, I ascended about 700 feet. This was done in 32 minutes, which works out to an average speed of 15.6 miles per hour. Honestly, I was shocked and kind of impressed I managed to drain the battery that fast. No exaggeration, this was full send balls to the wall riding with only a short break halfway. It was me riding as fast as I realistically could. Yeah, it was fun, yeah, it was dangerous, and it definitely beat me up. Luckily, I only crashed 1 time. By the end, my hands were cramping so bad I was just ready for it to be over. Low power mode kicks in for me at 15%, and if I had drained it completely, I probably would have been able to squeeze out 10 miles. Just keep in mind, this was more like racing instead of normal trail riding. Most riders take more breaks, ride smoother, and use less power overall. Most times, you don't need that thing cranked up to 6,000 watts with 100% torque. In the case of a normal rider, I'd expect about an hour to an hour and a half of riding on a full charge. For the first 2 tests, the results might look pretty underwhelming by typical e-bike standards, especially the second one. You've probably seen a lot of e-bikes out there advertise upwards of a 60-mile range, but here's the thing. Those bikes are hub motor bikes built entirely around pavement and light use. They aren't capable of anything more than mild riding. The Bonnell is different. It wasn't designed to rack up miles on easy terrain. It's a legit mid-drive mountain bike built for real off-road abuse. You're not buying a Bonnell for street miles, you're buying it to ride seriously rugged environments. So in this case, the total mileage you're getting on smooth terrain doesn't matter as much as the total ride time you get while riding hard. If all you're riding is pavement or pretty moderate terrain, a basic hub motor makes more sense. It's simpler and will go farther for less money, but there's no way a hub motor is doing what I just did in that third test. Like I said in that test, although I was able to empty the battery in a half hour, I can assure you most riders will get much longer ride time out of it. I still did the pavement test so you can see the real world numbers when you end up riding that way, but once again, that's not what this bike is optimized for. It's an absolute animal on the trails, and being able to get decent mileage while cruising on the road is just a bonus. Quick note on battery use, for these tests I charged the bike up to 100% and rode it down close to zero. Lithium-ion batteries don't like being at extremes. They last the longest when you avoid charging them fully and draining them out all the way. Keeping the battery between 20 and 80% charge is going to give you more longevity by giving you more possible charges over the years. Cold weather also plays a role because lithium-ion batteries don't perform as well in low temperatures, so you can expect reduced range when it's cold out. For what this bike is built to do, the range and battery life is perfectly acceptable. This isn't a dirt bike where you can go out with extra fuel and get a full day of riding. It's an electric bike with a fixed battery. You shouldn't expect it to last all day, but it's more than enough for the needs of most of us. Electric comes with a lot of benefits, and battery life is the trade-off. You can't have your cake and eat it too, at least not yet in 2026. At the end of the day, understand how these different riding styles will affect your range, but don't overthink it and just enjoy it.